Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the upcoming severe weather outbreak for the plains and southeast. So before we get started, I just want to say this is going to be the first of two videos today. The second one will be another hurricane season video coming out later today. Sorry for not posting last night, and please go watch my last two hurricane season videos if you haven't. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started. So first we have a large slight risk for tomorrow. Around Texas. Also, there is a slight risk today, but that's not part of the event. We're not going to be talking about that. But yeah, we have a large slight risk for tomorrow. 20 million people are going to be in it. And we see Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, major cities are in it like that. And then the marginal risk goes all the way to Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, places like that. So to start off, the tornado risk, a large 5%, not the whole slight risk, but Dallas, Austin, Shreveport, and places like that are going to be in that, so we could see a few tornadoes tomorrow. I do expect us to. And then Houston, San Antonio, places like that will also be in a 2% risk, so maybe an isolated tornado there. Wind, a large wind risk, but not large wind like area, large 5% risk for wind, but it's not exactly going to be a high wind risk is what I mean. But yeah, Houston, Dallas, places like that. And the biggest threat tomorrow is going to be hail. There's a significant risk for hail tomorrow, so we could have over 2-inch hail tomorrow. Dallas, Austin, Fort Worth, places like that, the 15% significant risk for hail. So yeah, we're definitely going to be watching that. Austin, Fort Worth, Dallas, like I said. And then Memphis, Oklahoma is 5% risk for hail. So if we go down into the discussion, we do see that there will be a threat for very large hail, especially the southwest part of the overall convective plume. So generally, let's move my camera here, and we are going to see, let's just move this down. Anyway, sorry, but what we're going to be seeing is the major hail risk is going to be in the southeast part of the risk of the 15% significant risk. But yeah, anyway, now we go into now we're going to go into day 3. This does not like to work, sorry. But moving on, we're going to go to day 3 finally, and we're just going to move this down here to make it easier. Anyway, so another large slight risk for day 3. Now, it's a larger slight risk, but it's going to be pretty much of the same stuff. But we could see more significant hail on this day, and potentially we could be going into higher tornado potential. We're going to have to see. But yeah, 15% hail risk. And if we move down here, well, not 15% significant probabilistic risk, but yeah, hail is likely to be included in that. And if we move down here, broad category 2 slight risk. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if there is a enhanced risk added because of how large this is and the high risk. But yeah, mix of significant large hail and severe wind gusts are the primary threats. So yeah, like a larger wind risk tomorrow. Greatest tornado potential may exist in southeast Texas and western Louisiana. So the highest tornado potential for a few tornadoes is going to be in this general area where we could see that. So we're really going to be watching out for that. And then we have to go to the day 4 to 8 outlook. So this has since been extended. It was originally only in, say, this area, but they have extended it into a lot of the Florida Panhandle. Places like Pensacola, Panama City, Tallahassee are about in that now. And so yeah, it's going to persist. The severe weather pattern is going to persist through midweek. And based on what we can see here, it's going to be a high shear, low cape environment. In a lot of these Dixie systems where like severe weather comes into Dixie Alley, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, we don't really need a lot of cape, but we do have high shear, which is very important. So they're maintaining a broad 15% area, but I wouldn't rule out an enhanced risk for this day either. But there is going to be at least a damaging wind threat before it shifts off the South Atlantic coast, so that's going to be more day 5, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if a few tornadoes, let's say, so stuff like that, and wind risk. But it's going to mainly be tornado wind risk. Obviously, we don't usually have a lot of hail in this region. In terms of, and also that's going to persist into Wednesday night, obviously. Wednesday night. But so Wednesday is day 5. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a significant tornado risk, depending on how the systems play out. But yeah, but day 4 Wednesday, and then day 5 Thursday, we definitely have to watch out for some tornadoes. But yeah, that's going to persist into Wednesday night, like I said, and then it's going to occur to Thursday as well, and then we'll see what happens then. Day 5 going to be a big wind risk and probably a few tornadoes. I'm not sure about up the coast here, but I'm sure the rest of this region is going to have also a few tornadoes. Again, wouldn't rule out an enhanced risk because there's a lot of factors going into the system, and if there can be more shear or some of the ECMWF is showing stronger scenarios, that can happen, then we could have an enhanced level threat. So sorry if this video is a little, and like earlier was the pen, but we'll get used to it. But first time using it. Anyway, we have to go first with the ECMWF, which around hour 72, hour 40, 50, we do see the system starting to fire up. We see the system firing up across northern Texas, heavy rain occurring, and that obviously is going to move. The low is going to move east towards Mississippi and Louisiana around hour 90, so 18Z April 10th. And then as we go further, it's going to move out of the region. So if we want to be a little more specific here, we're going to look at the Cape first. And we do see the Texas usually needs more Cape, just what we've seen. Tornado Alley, it's more high Cape, while Dixie Alley, it's more high shear. But really, we're going to have a lot of Cape, up to 3,000 in parts of Texas around hour 58. That's a lot of Cape. And then that's going to persist in values 1,500 to 2,000 along the Louisiana coast before it moves off. And in terms of lightning, we're going to, obviously, we see lightning, a flash rate of over 2,000 within 100 kilometers, and that's going to really fire up across southeast Texas. And then it's more of a cluster, but as we get into hour 63, it becomes more of a line we see, a line, and then it becomes a more organized cluster of storms, not just all over the place, and then it's going to move off. But yeah, then we're going to go into the southeast, which first let's go into this. So we see the line moving towards Florida, Alabama, Mississippi. So we see pretty organized line up until the central Florida Panhandle, Big Bend area, and then once it gets towards the Carolinas, it starts to weaken, and the rain is going to be less heavy. But we do see how there could be a flooding threat for Alabama and Mississippi. Then we're going to go to the Cape, which there's going to be less Cape, but there's going to be a lot of shear, which we're going to look at the shear for the southeast since it's more of the important thing, while for the plains it's more of the Cape. But yeah, not up to 1,000 for Cape values. And for the lightning flash rate, we're still going to see tons of lightning. We can see it's an organized line. So as we get into Georgia, eastern Alabama, and the Florida Panhandle, it's still a line. Well, it's still a cluster kind of, but it becomes more of an organized line. But it's still going to be a lot of supercells. Sorry, I cannot talk. So still a few tornadoes possible. And then as we go into the Carolinas, it's going to become more of a linear damaging wind threat. But let's go into Cape here. And we are going to go to, not Cape, we're going to go to the wind shear. And here we go. So we can see the system moving around hour 108. So it's going to be so this is going to be the high level wind shear, so it's not as important, but it's still going to bring a lot of moisture destabilization to the Florida Panhandle. And then it's going to move out, and then, yeah. But yeah, we could have very high level wind shear. I cannot talk today, sorry guys. Now, in terms of wind gusts, now this is not forecasting the damaging wind threat, but we could see was to line up the 36 mile per hour gusts and across parts of Florida into Alabama. So really, nothing too crazy in terms of linear wind gusts from the system itself, not the damaging wind threat. But yeah, 7 inches of rain in parts of Louisiana, so definitely a flooding threat. Now we're going to go into the GFS. Now, GFS is sort of showing a weaker system. We see it firing up across Texas, but lots more heavy rain across the southeast. Now we're going to go to the Cape here real quick. So it shows less Cape across Texas, around 2,000. And yeah, the Cape kind of completely dies out getting to Florida, but it's still going to be a risk. And then there's less parameters here, but let's look at the wind here. Here it is. This is what I meant to show last. Here, oops. So that's why I was kind of confused. I was like, this does not look right. But here we go. So here's the correct parameter, and we do see a lot of shear for the ECMWF is showing up to 74 knots across Florida and Georgia. So that's a lot of shear, which is going to fuel the Dixie Alley storms. So yeah, we really have to watch out for that. Now we're going to go to GFS, which not as much shear, but we still see up to 65 knots for part of Florida and Georgia. So definitely a strong system. So that's it for the models. So now we're going to go to the National Weather Service offices to see what they are saying. So we've looked at the Storm Prediction Center outlooks, obviously. We've looked at what the models are showing, ECMWF showing a little bit of a stronger system. Now we're going to look at the 3 NWS offices in 3 cities. We're going to look at Baton Rouge. We're going to look at the Baton Rouge, New Orleans forecast office. We're going to look at the Mobile, Alabama, and the Tallahassee offices. So that's kind of showing along the Gulf Coast after it moves from Texas. Because Texas, we have a pretty good idea. It's a lot of hail because, the event's happening tomorrow. But we have less of an idea what's going to happen in Dixie Alley. So I'm going to show you. We're going to look into that now. So we have to go into the long term. But yeah. So first off, there's going to be a lot of precipitable water, as I say, here, and up to a couple inches of snow. Localized flash flooding, obviously, for parts of Louisiana. So y'all in western Louisiana, you have to watch out. But yeah, up to 1,000 Cape, which is going to be really worrying. So that's a threat of hail into Louisiana. Like I said, once you get deeper into Dixie Alley, it's going to be less of a threat. So, yeah, 15% risk. Now, other than the coastal flooding and hail, I do think you guys will have a pretty good tornado threat in western Louisiana. But I think the hail threat and damaging wind threat will be larger, at least for that part. And then when you get into eastern Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, it's going to be more of a tornado and wind threat. And so yeah, we're just looking across the Gulf Coast here. Now, we're going to look into long term, where 250 to 800 kilojoules of Cape. Still a lot, at least especially with a lot of shear. You don't really need that much Cape with the amount of shear we're having along the Gulf Coast here. So there's going to be a lot of instability, heavy rainfall up to 4.5 inches. So y'all in Alabama definitely do have to watch out before this system exits Wednesday night. And then we're going to go to Tallahassee, where we see how it's going to be 50 plus knot LLJ, low-level jet, across the region. And there's going to be a lot of Cape, not a Cape, wind shear. You see this is an incredible amount of wind shear, 500. And, I cannot say that. But it's a lot of cape, like I showed you, up to 70 knots on the ECMWF and 65 knots on the GFS. So, depending on what's going to happen, here's what it says. It says, so it's different between the GFS and Euro. And a few hours, like they say, could make a big difference in how strong it is. So the low-level jet move around sunset on Wednesday evening. It would be more surface-based hazards, which is GFS. And low-level jet is stronger, so more elevated hazards would happen in the European model, like I was showing you, stronger shear and stronger event. So GFS is hinting at a 70-plus knot low-level jet, which would be incredible, which would be very worrying. So, and if the timing lines up, the possibility of a few tornadoes there, and we could have significant hazards in the Florida Panhandle, southern Georgia, southern Alabama, if the timing is right, and we have more shear and a stronger low-level jet than expected. But yeah, anyway, that's going to be it. So make sure to go watch my 2 hurricane season forecast videos if you haven't. There's going to be another video coming out later. Sorry, this video is a little iffy with like problems with the pen and just not being able to speak. But sorry about that, but hopefully it's still good. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer as soon as I can. But yeah, that's going to be it, guys. And yeah.